join us as Owen, but hello, welcome. I am Scott Stimpson, International Computer Solutions. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. We meet every Tuesday at 10 Arizona time. All of us have some tie to San Carlos, Sonora, Mexico, and that's the form of our club. At the moment, I'm in Alaska, working the family bed and breakfast. So these meetings have been remote since I got here, and they won't return to in-person meetings until October the. Right now, I see Jim's just joined us. We've also got Chester and Dad here with us. Good to see you guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, hi, Jim.
As typical, I have prepared a document that you guys have probably all gotten a copy of. And this document shows things that I find interesting. I think you guys might find it. And so I thought we might go through some of this stuff. But first of all, since I've got the three of you right here, who showed up with a problem we're trying to solve or a question in mind? Something they'd like to know more about if I can help, or something I can help troubleshoot if it's not working? Just off. What was that?
The issue I had last week, and you suggested I try a different USB port. I did, and it solved the problem.
Oh, wow. So that could either be, you know what, Chester, I forgot to mention, I was having the same kind of experience just with are you running Windows 11 or Windows 10?
No, I'm running 11.
11, okay. I was having the same kind of experience with 10. For some reason, it was disconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting, reconnecting. No rhyme or reason to it. In fact, I'm ready to give up on it, and then it just started working again. So I think I'm probably suffering hardware that's failing over time, failing slowly, gradually. Hello, Cheryl. But I'm glad that's worked. So yeah, just to keep an eye. If it does it again, I would suggest trying it in another computer and verifying that it is that device that's having the problem. If you put it back in the same USB port and it gives you the same problems, it might be an indicator that there's an issue with your computer. But the kind of problem could also be from all these updates we're getting lots of Windows updates.
My computer only has two USB ports, and one port I use for my backup external drive, and the other port I have an extension USB situation, and it's where I was plugging into that is the problem. And I got rid of the one I had, and I had a spare, so I plugged the spare in, and everything works.
Well, there you go. I too have a hub that I can very easily overwhelm. Maybe that's all that was going on, is that there wasn't enough electricity to transfer data. A USB hub. I mean, you can daisy chain these USB hubs to your system, but when you start hooking up that many devices, it all requires a certain level of electricity to be consistent. And devices can have very low electrical needs, but they can have up to 5-volt electrical needs. As we get into USB-C, where you can even charge batteries off of that port. And so what you're trying to do with those ports really matters how much electricity is available to you. Not to mention they're a smart device. A USB hub could just go bad. Yeah, a circuit, an IC chip on a circuit board could fizzle. Over time, connections can be unstable. And so a hub could work 90% of the time instead of 100%. So you resolved it by replacing your USB hub with a new one, or an additional one that you have.
It's a 4-hub, a 4-slot hub.
Is it powered? Do you plug it into the wall as well?
No, you don't, but it does have a green light on it,
Yeah, an indicator light.
an indicator light. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it works.
So if you were to want to add more devices using a hub, say for example, you wanted to have your external hard drive connected or a number of them, then very quickly you would run out of electricity, because the kind you described there is getting fed electricity from your computer. And that is limited to a certain potential. And then after that, it exceeded. So if you wanted to do something like that, you'd replace it with a hub that you could plug into the wall for additional power as well.
Right. And I think what the situation, this is an older computer, and I think one is the number 2 hub and the other is the number 3 USB port, and the other is the number 3 USB port. In other words, one is stronger than the other.
Yeah, well, with 3, you have more variations available to you. You can use less electricity, and you can utilize faster data transfer. Maybe.
Yeah, I used the number 3 for the external hard drive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what you would do. That's what you would do. Jim, I don't know. Were you trying to say something there? Or not? Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, that's I'm glad that's been resolved, and that is a pretty common. I have a Mac Mini, and I use a number of USB hubs to connect various devices at the same time. Right now I've got 2 different hubs, both of them USB 3. I've got one that is fortified with a really solid power supply that creates constant electricity. I've got 6 hard drives plugged into it so that I can run my own storage array. But the other hub that I have, I can't trust it to hard drives. It flakes. And so it's only where my mouse and my keyboard are connected. Sometimes I'll connect USB flash drives. I keep it on my desk for short-term connection, because I haven't wanted to buy a new hub, and I know this one, it just flakes. It doesn't have enough electricity at times. So I just live with that until I can buy it. Last week, I had mentioned a generative UI operating system. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was talking about an AI created operating system as you were using it. The operating system didn't exist until you asked for it, and then the buttons, the applications, the text fields you'd fill out all only existed at the moment that it was prompted for you. No previous code written. And I could not find the name of this operating system. And I think I might have been remembering this out of context, because this is still a great example. It's actually from Microsoft. It's from Microsoft's recent developer convention that they were having. And this is called Vibe OS, a fully hallucinated operating system. I put the link in our. Unfortunately, I can't share
so I'm going to show you
the audio.
I need to introduce you
but unfortunately, I'm having to listen to the audio.
That's going to change everything about how we work. So, introducing Vibe OS, okay?
So I'm going to fast forward here for a moment.
Smaller, I didn't bother.
They talk about downloading it, running it as a virtual machine.
We're ready to get started.
This is the desktop here. I'm sorry you guys can't hear what they're saying.
And we're going to start by running a few of the applications that are built in here. So
So
we'll
he wants to run these applications. So Notepad didn't exist.
We'll have
Calculator didn't exist. These are things that are generating right on the fly, just right straight hallucinations.
Is that in these applications there is no code at all?
There's no code that in the background of this.
Is being hallucinated in real time by the AI. So there's no buttons, there's no event handlers, there's no logic to say what to do, but the application works. So if I do 5 divided by 3,
so his point is that there is no application that's checking.
It's 1.6.
This is
okay, so
it's
it
getting
works,
its answers and its prompts from an AI that's
it's just
and a layer
UI
behind it
exclusively.
So
with
the
nothing
AI.
behind it.
If you follow this demo farther,
unlike the boring operating systems,
if you follow it farther, it fully hallucinates websites that don't exist with content that doesn't exist. If you go into the App Store, it has an App Store where you will find any suggested app, whether it's real or not. In this case,
it goes further, right? We're not limited to these built-in applications. We can search for any app that we want, and everyone always does like to-do
app right here,
so
like a checkbox.
I'm going to find.
Does everything that he searches for, he's going to find.
All right. So let's
because
see
it's all hallucinated by the AI.
Let's go for one of the classics, Encarta 98. Everyone loves that one, but it's all about Mark Russinovich. All right, and so we can get a fully customized version.
So this
of
is
Encarta. In fact, Russinovich has us to implement
amazing
something like that.
and scary at the same time.
Yeah, you can say Scoot as well. That's totally fine.
What we were talking about last week was the ability for an operating system to be generated from an AI and set itself in between the metaphorical buttons of a back end of things that are being done. For me, I think the easiest way to wrap my head around that would be, say, like a microwave or a coffee pot. And when Jim approaches the coffee pot, if it's aware enough to know that it's Jim, then it might modify its interface to Jim's buttons. And so it would just be fully creating buttons for Jim. And when I stepped in front of it and it recognized who I was, I would get a whole different set of buttons. Maybe the buttons would follow me around. Maybe your coffee, I'm using an Airbnb coffee pot and have no idea how to use it except for the fact that it has the same interface as my coffee pot back home. And so when I approach it, it self-creates the functions and buttons that I expect to see on a coffee pot because that's the way I use it at home. I think these kinds of demos really exemplify this kind of new era that we're going into, where it's not so much coding specific as it's this mushy kind of interface, this mushy abstracted layer that's a veneer that's going to be put on technology, that we're all going to see things and we're going to see it differently and have the same results on the back end. Vibes OS is what it's called. It was put together by Microsoft to demonstrate AI and its capabilities. It was part of their developer conference, and I've left a link here in our document. You guys can check it out when you get a chance. It's pretty wild. One of our articles is talking about Windows 10 updates, and we'll get to that. But I was just curious if you guys were aware. I mean, some of you are probably aware of the Commodore 64 PC back in the day. I know Bill would be aware of it. Cheryl, you're smiling.
You just made Bill giggle right out loud.
Oh, I thought he would. I mean, this is a computer that I grew up with. I had a TRS-80 color computer. My friend Justin had a 64, a Commodore 64. We were very aware of the hardware. The Commodore 64 was one of the first personal computers that was a really decent game platform. well for playing video. And I wasn't aware of this. I learned about this because in this Windows 10 article, they talk about the Commodore Visions OS release. I hadn't heard anything about that. And this morning, I started doing some research into this. And it turns out that a YouTuber has bought the Commodore brand. And this page that I've linked to, which is all releases of the Commodore Linux distribution that is available, it's a blog that is posting his endeavor into Commodore. And so his videos are great. He has released a Commodore PC. It's like a retro PC. I mean, this is really for Commodore fans. And he goes into the backstory of how he's gotten into the Commodore brand. He hasn't owned it for much more longer than a year. But his story is a funny one. He approached Commodore about using the brand, like getting some licensing. And they approached him about just selling him the whole corporation. And so in the end, he bought the whole brand, the whole corporation. He's the CEO. I guess they've got some sort of sharing deal. And the most recent thing that he's done is this is a bunch of enthusiasts that have gotten together to do this. They've gotten a number of the original people that worked for Commodore to come and add designs and engineering to their projects. And now they have released a Linux version of Commodore. So I haven't loaded this. I haven't played with this yet, but because I am a bit of a fanboy of this kind of stuff, I'm going to check it out myself and see what they really have here. If this is actually an operating system that you could run, run a piece of Commodore equipment. And actually, I mean, what would be interesting is be able to be so low tech and still function in this world. If it's more than just an emulator for the games, but also has web browsers, clients, search capabilities, file structure, the ability to edit documents, share, to have I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Man, specifically because we're going into a world now where Apple has just raised the prices on all their equipment, indicating that, I mean, it's the biggest red flag that get ready for prices to be changing across the board in every piece of consumer technology. There might be something to be said for going back to lower powered equipment that's really well thought out. Bill, I'm expecting you to check this out and give us an update.
It's up. It's on.
Scott, I'm not a Commodore fan. I cut my teeth in Apple IIe's.
Oh, you're all Apple, okay.
Yeah, 48K of screaming memory.
And I had a Commodore in the back of my classroom that was used for a spelling exercise program. And the secretary and I took a continuing ed course on programming and if then and go to and all that kind of stuff. And he was using it to make class lists and we were doing basic, and I never ever imagined it would go in. It just seemed like more work was worth, and went back to my mimeographs and
Wait, Commodore.
I read.
Oh, go ahead,
that
Jessica.
there's a major shortage of storage, and that all prices are going to go up, and there'll be a big shortage due to storage components.
Yeah, I think this fits right into that theme of where we are right now. Because of this shortage, we've seen memory bundles go from $50 to $450 almost overnight. we've all done ourselves a disservice if we were going to buy a new computer this year. I'm kind of banging my head on the wall. I had tight finances, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get through this period of time? And maybe I should be buying a computer. Well, watching what Apple did, I mean, they've got one of their computers went up $1,200. The exact same computer from the day before has been raised $1,200. They rose prices on consumer things that have not changed in years, such as the HomePods or the Apple TV, $50 and $100. Products that are just sitting on shelves already built. No advancement has been made in 4 years. They've raised those prices to stay in line with the regimen of price in. And it really reflects the supply and demand problem we're in right now. And it really reflects like where we are with this AI bubble, what's happening. This is all that silicon has already been bought up by these large organizations for data centers. And so this is a dramatic price wave that we're going to see continue throughout the market. It's hard to imagine anything that will change this. Probably the thing that's come to the forefront just most recently, a memory company you've probably never heard of called CXMT, which is a China-based memory manufacturer. And now that that's come out of my mouth, it might have been CMXT. I've never heard of it till now either, so I might have their initials mixed. But they have been following behind the big three memory manufacturers in the world. There's only three. There's only three that are making DRAM, advancing DRAM production. Especially since Micron has gotten out of the consumer market, there is no large supply. Things like memory and CPUs are built on lithograph technology, and those machines are multi-million-dollar machines that only 2 or 3 of them exist in the world at any given time at its current generation technical ability. And so this high demand for chips and memory in these data centers have really put the consumer market on this keter, this kind of seesaw where everything's happening on one end, and it deflated everything that's happening on the other end, creating these ridiculous gaps in memory pricing and shortages. Getting back to Commodore for a moment, these kinds of things might end up getting embraced because they run on such little power. And we might be seeing this real movement to making your old devices work, using more. It's funny when you think about how people respond to the term hacker as really being a negative connotation when really the term hacker came out of the 70s and 80s to mean just exploiting the technology for all it was worth, to make it do things that it wasn't intended to really push the boundaries of what was there. And so hacking on a program would mean you figured out how to save 4 kilobytes of memory by rewriting the code and making it more efficient, making it run faster and fit in less memory so it would use less resource, freeing it up to have other features. And we've really gone past that because of the way the iterations, Moore's law, really being that every 18 months things will double or double and a half. And so it just became very predictable, the amount of technology that was available to the consumer. So you could write code that was very inefficient because in just a moment there'll be a new iteration and it'll be more efficient because the hardware will just be faster, and less emphasis on making it as efficient as possible, make it as intelligent as possible. I think we're going to see a a return to that kind of thinking with development. And ironically, I think it's going to be because of AI, because now we have a tool that you can beat back and forth on a piece of code that will bring down the system requirements on the application that's being worked on, because it'll keep looking at it, keep reiterating on it, continue looking for ways to make it faster, smaller, and more optimized. The problem is that same developer can't, the equipment that they would have on their desk that would allow them to do that just became 3 to 10 times more expensive to buy. And we're right. This is the pivot right now. Very few of us own equipment that can do that kind of work, that kind of AI work on our desk. So the developers will be relying on those services in the cloud, and they'll be paying for those services. I mean, they already are. They're paying for those services in the cloud. But this all is with an intention to move to your home. And we're waiting. The hardware is iterating. It is out there, but it's not in abundance. So we're creating this disparage between who can have access to this hardware. I don't know if I have a point I'm getting at, but I'm just kind of describing where we are right now. What is happening is we're watching our reach to that equipment, that level of sophistication, growing farther and farther away from economically, so that only those that have means are going to have access to it, whether you're a developer or whether it's coming to consumer goods. We're also watching, because of this crisis, we've watched a number of developers, or not, hardware vendors, are pulling back from their cheap equipment. The $100 cell phone is going to probably cease to exist because it can't be made. The vendors that work in that area, they've already come out shutting down lines that they were anticipating, because they can't compete when the parts are that expensive, or just at whatever price. They're just not available for price. So it's interesting. I don't know if this is a fair analogy, but if you remember, during COVID, the United States went through a meat crisis. Meat became just insanely important. First, we considered critical workers, or what was the term? I can't even remember the term now, that we used to refer to these people as being, like they had to take the risk. They had to go process meat, and there was, I mean, I kind of feel like this memory crisis is kind of the same kind of thing. We've never had a situation like this. Haven't had a cultural pivot that has put such a taxing demand on an infrastructure that we've put in place, that's so relevant to all the way down to each one of us. Each one of us in this meeting is affected by what has happened. That is a long distraction, or quite a ways away from the Commodore blog post that I was making you aware of. But it's probably foremost on my mind, and you would find it in this theme in a lot of the topics that I've brought to you today, because a lot of it is being aware of what's going on. There's an article here that will go into the price jump, and you can actually see they've made a list here. They've got a video that's a really nice one that goes into what's going on and the prices. But then what I thought was really relevant to us, just to get a feel for how this is changing, go down this list. $30, $50, $70, $100, $100, $150. These are price jumps These are products that were sitting on the shelf yesterday. Today, they're $100 more expensive, $200 more. The M3 Ultra Max Studio, and keep in mind, they're getting ready to release the M6. So they're still selling the Max Studio with an M3 Ultra Pro. And keep in mind, the Ultra is an amazing processor. But that gives you an idea of what generation it is. It's 3 years behind where current development is. They were selling it at $5,300. No, they were selling it at $4,000. Now they're selling it at $5,300, a $1,300 increase on a product that is 3 years old. That I just overnight this is. And if you were watching Apple's release, then you were also aware that if you'd gotten on Amazon, you were scrambling to get the prices. They had not had a chance to update. Best Buy was the same way, and Target was the same way. Walmart was the same way. And if you're fortunate, maybe you can go into those places and still find them honoring some price, but they are at right now updating their lines that they have in their store to match these prices. Now, the way Apple does things, they are coming out with new products. We're expecting new products this year. They every year, every 6 months they come out with a line. They've done two things here that I think are significant. One is I don't think they will do another price update. I listen to tech news all the time. I hear a lot of speculation. I've watched Apple for my whole life. This is unprecedented. They've never done anything like this before, so I can't really tell what's going to happen next. But what they don't like to do, they don't like to change prices. And I think, and from what I've listened to, I think that when they come out with the next iteration of every one of these products, they will be at this price. I think that they are lulling us into the new price structure for old products. For them, they can eat it. I think that what I'm telling you is don't buy any of these products. Don't spend money on any of these products, especially an Apple TV that's been around for the last 3 years with no changes. We know in the works there's a new Apple TV. We know that they're in the works. There's a number of these products that are about to get iterated again. And this is such a dramatic price jump. I don't believe we should assume that it's going to jump again when they announce these products. What they've done up till recently is they've announced the new product with the same price or slightly cheaper. And so I think what they're doing is they're preparing us to pay more for the new products when they come out by charging us more for the old products now. And then they will continue to keep these products on the market and they'll drop them back down to their original prices. There are products on here you should not buy. The Apple TV and the HomePods are good examples of this. The Vision Pro is a good example of this because everything is getting, nobody in this group's getting Pro anyway. I talk you can so much better use for $4,000 of your money than a headset that's still not proven. But everything is getting the new chips. They're all getting new software for the new Siri. And what we know is these products can't handle the new Siri. So they have to put out a new product. We know that the Apple TV is pushing to be the hub of your Siri experience in your house. And that they have already built a number of these, like thousands of these devices are sitting in warehouses. They're ready to be released to the people. They're waiting for the new version of Siri that's going to be released with the new operating system, which supposedly will be released in the first half of next year. And so there is a very potent, powerful Apple TV equipment out there ready to fill its role and more in your smart home device and in your AI life. that I suspect is going to be sold at this new price. And they're just waiting until that time when they're going to release. So, I mean, I would not recommend an Apple TV purchase. I wouldn't recommend an HomePod purchase. If you're looking for that equipment, I would wait because they're going to be at least this price. They're going to be completely new by 2027. The other thing that Apple has done here that's very interesting that I would not have expected, and so I don't really know what it means, but they have left the iPhone, the EarPods, and the Apple Watch same price. They have not changed those devices. And I think it's really probably a testimony to where they see their bread and butter. That they recognize those three products as being what consumers see first and the most likely device in your life and the most likely device that you're going to need to upgrade soon. And so they have not touched those prices. So another part of this is that might be the only price you care about. So you're not paying attention to this pricing. You're not even aware of this announcement because they didn't touch the price on the only device that matters. And what I would say is that can't last. I would just say that if you are in the market for a new phone, this might be the moment to buy it. If it's an iPhone you're looking for, because I have a lot of trouble believing they can't not upgrade the price. I just don't see it. All of this stuff is built on the same supply chain, the same prices. I think that they're not raising the prices. I think that all of this is political. I think that raising these prices on these devices is a political move on their part to prepare yourselves for when they release the new equipment. And I think not raising the prices, and this is all my opinion, it's all my opinion, so I might be wrong later, but these very consumer-facing, everybody has them devices, it's political not to raise those prices. Well, because they know they're minimizing backlash, they're planning for a future of stability. They can also raise the price with the new device and say, look, we didn't raise the price until we had something new to give you. Say that about the iPhone, and I suspect the iPhone market will go, you're right. And they can maintain the iPhone, the old iPhone, which is the new iPhone right now. They put out the 18, they can raise the price on that, and they can say, look, you can still get the 17 at its original price. Just like we've made all these older products, we've put them back at their original price when we iterated them. So I think it's all preparing the market because Apple has such a great effect on the market. All preparing us. New reality we live. And in classic form, we're going to watch this happen across the board in the PC market. HP will take their cues from this. Dell will take their cues. But I think it'll get even into the streaming boxes, what's considered acceptable for Fire TV, what you would a streaming stick. I think everything. It'll affect hearing aids, everything that has silicon in it, everything that relies on a chip right now, probably in jeopardy pricing. I'm definitely going out of order on my list of topics, and I didn't give you guys a chance to bring up any of your own topics. So if there's anybody out there that would like to comment on what I'm talking about or has a topic of their own, this is a good time to bring it up. So I see Cheryl's got a finger up.
Yeah, I have a topic.
Please.
Okay, AT&T, with my Apple phone, they offered me a change in plan and I took it, and it comes with hotspot. So AT&T, I have a limited number of gigabytes, I guess, gig, a month. and the hotspot is there on my account. Now, I'm thinking I might want to use this at some time, but I figured I had it off. And when I went to download an app on my iPad or on my phone the other day, it said, "Do you want to do it now over data or on Wi Fi later?" And I thought, well, I am on Wi Fi and I'm on Wi Fi with my home one.
No, you weren't.
Well,
It
there's
shouldn't
no
ask you that. It shouldn't
Well, it
ask you
shouldn't.
that unless you're on a cell connection.
Okay, so I go into my settings and I can't see where have it turned on or how I would turn it off and make it for it says I'm connected by my Thomson network. But maybe it's something under data, maybe it's something under
No,
I
in
don't know where
fact,
it is.
that message should pop up whenever you have lost your Wi-Fi connection and you're doing Wi-Fi activities that you've intentionally said, don't do these on cell. And so that
Okay.
message will pop up. It'll pop up in your podcast app if you try and listen to something that's not already on your phone and you've lost your Wi-Fi connection. It'll pop up on any one of your network, your internet apps, and it will tailor it to the particular app. Like in your case, it was in the App Store, and the App Store is saying, do you want to just save this to download when you have Wi-Fi? And it really is your device not having Wi-Fi at that moment for whatever reason. It could be Thomas. It could be your access point that's the problem. Or it could be your device is confused and it doesn't understand that you have Wi-Fi. That's essentially what it's...
Could it be a setting that I have turned on somewhere in the App
Shouldn't
Store?
be. It shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a setting. The only settings that you really have control over is whether it's going to ask you. If you had it set to, yeah, if you had your app set so that it was okay to use cell or Wi-Fi, then it wouldn't even say a message to you. There is a setting for sharing, for augmenting your data connection. It's the best way for me to describe it. Augmenting your data connection. None of that is Apple's language, but that's essentially what you're doing. If you turn that setting on, and I think it's under cellular, I can look for it specific. But what that is basically saying is no matter what network you're connected to, whether it's Wi-Fi or it's cellular, if you're having a problem with it, you want to just switch over to the other. That's what it's saying. It intends to be Wi-Fi first, cell second. But if you are on cell and you're having problems with cell, it would obviously go over to Wi-Fi. The point is that if you're having problems with Wi-Fi, it would go over to cell. It's the only setting that you might have set. And then you might have your App Store set never to use cell. And you would get a message like that saying, are you sure you want to do this on cell? Oh, good morning. Emmy's up.
So App Store under settings, I would find my.
Let me look for this last one I was talking about first. Doesn't that make sense? I'll go into. I think you go into settings under cell. No, that.
No.
Okay.
Accessibility? No.
Because you're really augmenting your network connection by saying it's okay to go across the cell network in Wi-Fi.
And I've got a thing here, auto join hotspot, and it's set at automatic. And see, I'm wondering if I shouldn't ask to join or never.
It's not within the scope of this conversation.
Okay, because I like I say, I was knocking around under Wi-Fi, knocking around under the cellular, trying to figure out how come it thinks that I want to use my limited hotspot. Or my, I have data, but I mean, maybe it's not even using the hotspot. Maybe it's only using data. I
Well,
don't know.
that's what I'm assuming is going on, is that your hotspot may be there. I mean, not your hotspot. I'm sorry. Let's distinguish. Like, first of all, what you're describing has nothing to do with your new plan. Your new plan
Okay.
is about you being able to provide a hotspot. You couldn't provide a hotspot if you didn't already have internet coming through the cell network.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Right.
So you,
Okay.
what you're becoming with your new plan, you're becoming that connection. You're the modem.
So
You're
it comes
the
in on data, which I have unlimited, and it goes out on a limited hotspot to another device.
That's right. So your laptop could be connected to your hotspot. Your phone is connected to the AT&T's internet, and so the hotspot is sharing it with your laptop. You could also, because it's a hotspot, you could share it with anything around you. You could share it with Bill's phone. You could share it with yeah, you could. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could even hook up an Alexa to it, a smart speaker to it, because it's at the same level as Wi-Fi. It's a hotspot. And the difference is that you're using your phone to go across the internet using AT&T service. So outside of the message you're getting, none of that affects what you're dealing with. What you're dealing with is your phone doesn't think you have Wi-Fi, and it's asking if you can use cell network. The reason it would be thinking that is because there's a problem with your Wi-Fi. Either it's not there, or it's there, but it's not going out on the internet. And it might even be going out on the internet, but it's not going out on the internet for your particular device. Things that could affect that would be maybe a broken VPN. Like maybe you have a VPN installed in your phone and it's not working the way it's supposed to. It's not recognizing that, or maybe it's got very secure settings. Like if the VPN isn't connected, then don't put any internet across that Wi-Fi connection. I mean, I actually, as I get into thinking of different possibilities, I realize that most of them would be because the software is not up to date and it's broken. There's just something broken about the VPN. Might cause that problem. If I was trying to resolve the issue, if you rebooted the phone, you watch it go on your Wi-Fi, still not behaving as though you're on the Wi-Fi, I think I would remove a VPN software to just make sure that's not affecting. I definitely verify that I'm getting an IP address from my Wi-Fi connection. So I go into the Wi-Fi connection on the phone and just look at the details and make sure that they have intelligent information. Like there's an address that's a 192.1.1. Blah blah blah, something of that nature, just to verify. Because you can be connected, and that connection can go nowhere. You can be connected and not receive the addresses and information configurations that make it possible to go somewhere. You could be connected and your phone could be saying whenever you're connected to that without a VPN, don't allow internet traffic. Follow what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think that I'm going to make a appointment at a Genius bar, or whatever you call it, at an Apple place, because my iPad is very inconsistent. For example, I was booking flights, I was doing tickets to shows and different things, and some of the links wouldn't work. They would get me there, and it was look like it was going to work, and then it wouldn't.
And this is on your same Wi-Fi there in the house? Or is this
on the Wi-Fi on the iPad? I've been doing everything on the iPad. I haven't even turned on my laptop since I got home. So I'm on the iPad, and credit cards were being denied. I booked Bill on one flight, me on another. It just was terrible. About 5 days of just every time I seemed to do anything on the computer, it bleeped for me.
You know,
So
the fact that you're getting something like this on your phone and your iPad is acting inconsistently, is it easy for you to find a different source of internet just to test those devices? Like, can you go to somebody's house that has Wi-Fi? And I mean, is there? Because what you're describing to me sounds like inconsistencies of your Wi-Fi there at home.
Yeah, well, Bill checks the power every so often because I'll say to him, "Have you got internet?" And he'll ping it and he'll
speed
do a
tests.
speed test, and he'll check it and he says, "No, it's fine." And now at the same time, our TV's been acting up too, and recordings are bleeping.
Well, you
and
just
stuff
made
on
a
it,
straight
so,
line.
yeah. I'm thinking that it's definitely got to be the Wi-Fi Shaw that's coming in on the Wi-Fi goes to the TV and what have you. But
Well,
yeah,
at this point, if you think it's the network, because that really sounds like network to me. And I'll get that in San Carlos, I use a couple of different connections to keep our internet going. But when, say, for example, Telmex goes down, it affects both connections. One is Telmex through XPro, the other one's Telmex directly to us. And when it goes down, we lose internet completely. And immediately our devices, specifically the iPhone, will say, do you want to, whatever it is that we're trying to do across your cell network, or do you want to keep trying your Wi-Fi network? And I can see I'm connected to my Wi-Fi network. So the question is, what happened to my Wi-Fi network? Because I'm connected to it. Why don't I have any internet on my Wi-Fi network? And that's when I go find out that Telmex is down or Juan is down. And what you're describing sounds like that kind of experience where the internet has cut out for an extended period of time enough to trigger what you're doing as not being available.
right. Because it freezes, and then I'll make a transaction and think that it's gone through and it hasn't, and then I have to go to do it again, which alerts my credit card company, so they turn off my credit cards and put blocks on things. Like, it just because I had repeated times of trying to do things. So so I'm thinking it's got to be network inconsistencies, and so I can phone them and I can tell them that it's happening across different devices.
Yeah, you've got the TV, the phone, and your iPad. And if you want to make sure you have an intelligent conversation with them, I would take your two devices to another internet connection. Like go to the Apple store and show that it's working just fine in that internet connection. It better be working. What would be interesting in your new living situation, if you've got a neighbor that's got Shaw, and you could bring it over there, and they know they're not having problems. Their TV's working just fine. They're not getting any of the same messages.
Okay, so I was talking to the other ladies in our building because my Shaw TV wasn't recording my news properly and everything. And the technology level amongst my peers, it's, I'll say something about the cable and I don't have Wi-Fi in my room. Okay, you actually do, So yeah, it's kind of hard, but.
Well, yeah, because what I would be trying to do is troubleshoot whether it's the equipment in your house or if it's the Shaw connection
In the building.
Yeah. And if you could find somebody that confidently has no problems with their TV and their phone's working just fine, they think their internet's just fly, then ask if you could connect your equipment to it and see if you have the same experience. And I suspect you won't if you find, and what you'll have determined is the problem is isolated to your house, your living situation. It could still be Shaw, but it would be outside the house or the device that they're providing you in the house. It wouldn't be anything that you've done. Otherwise, it could just be right there in the house. If you've got a mesh or something like that that's connected, it could be that kind of device that's causing the problem.
We don't have a mesh. No.
You're
No.
just running off of the Shaw Wi-Fi device that's provided, is it right?
Yeah.
Well, so in the end, it's going to be
900.
Shaw's problem. It's
Which is now owned by Rogers, which is a huge issue for us. But anyways, the other thing that the AT&T did was they provided me with
hey, wait a second. Wait, AT&T didn't do any of that.
no. Okay, so back to AT&T.
Okay.
They gave me a cloud storage with my monthly thing. And I'm thinking, what the heck would I do with cloud storage with AT&T? And it had a little prompt, you can set it up here and stuff. And I'm wondering if I wouldn't keep my contact list, but I don't know what I would do with my storage. So,
Well, what you would do is lock yourself into an ecosystem of subscription services, one more thing a month to pay for. And then
No,
invite
this is
AT&T
provided
to
free.
install applications on your phone, because there is no built-in system for AT&T's cloud storage. So you'd have to install their apps, right? So that
Yep.
you could utilize it with less finesse than the classic ones, the OneDrive and the iCloud, which has been around forever, providing those kinds of services. You would be using some strange, wonky AT&T cloud service. I mean, I don't know if you can tell in the tone of my voice. I would stay. You can get cloud storage from. To put it in perspective, you can get cloud storage from Telmex if you want. Telmex has got cloud storage.
Well, they basically told me that it's now included in my plan, and this is how you can set it up, and I just ignore. So I did not set it up. I did not put the new app on my phone. This call is ending in 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just so you know.
I had no idea I was that entertaining to myself. I completely lost track of time. Let me open up this other.
It said ending in 12 minutes when I started talking. So I think I'm monopolizing too much time. So.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm not seeing that message on this. On
my phone, and it says your call ends in 3.
There it is. I've got it now. Well, I've got the other meet open, and I'm ready to let people in. It looks like Richard's joining us on the second end of this. Hello, Mom. Hello, Richard. We're waiting for the others to come in. Good morning.
Simpson, nice to see you.
Comes Jim. We missed you in the first half, Richard.
I was out watering somebody's plants in the incredible heat.
All right. Get everybody. I guess we're just missing Chester and Dad at this.
We going to see you down here one of these days, Mr. Cunningham?
What am I missing?
We've moved over to the other meet, Chester.
Jim's not muted. Oh, there we go.
I just unmuted. Yeah, I'll be down probably mid-December.
Fabulous, smart.
And say hello to Katie for me.
I will. You have a new haircut.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it seems to be getting thinner and thinner as I go along.
Oh, sure. Sure. Absolutely.
All right. It looks like I am going to stop this other meet. Eliminate confusion.
Can I go off topic for a minute?
That's all we do here, Cheryl.
Okay, sorry. Go Canada. We made it to the bottom 16. We're doing really well. We're doing it on American soil, but that's okay. We're still co-hosting. We're still co-hosting, and Mexico and Canada, USA. I think it's a great event and a lot of pride. So tomorrow is our Canada Day, and of course, our game is being played on your 4th of July in Houston, Texas. So.
We don't have 4th of July anymore, Cheryl. We just have, really gross, like cage fights. You can't really think of it as the 4th of July.
It's
just
blow your fingers off while drinking season.
Exactly. Exactly.
Come on, you had a
Well stated.
party on the big Washington Square or whatever.
Mall, isn't it called? And we all know what our new drink is for the 4th of July, right? It's called a reflecting pool. You should look
Go
it up.
on. What is this?
So that's algae and what?
Well, no, it's got green. So I can't remember what the garnish is, but I saw one of our Canadian friends, Jim Smith, this guy, and it's Marjorie Carlson's brother has made a reflecting pond drink for him to it can be a margarita with the green and everything, but then there's something floating in it that looks like a piece of there's something blue floating in it, but you should look it up. It sounds very creative. And there's a martini. There's a reflecting pool martini.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have just look at this.
You found it.
I found a number of them.
Yes.
There's a margarita.
Well,
funny.
Speaking as a advertising and public relations professional, I think they missed a great bet here, because algae is actually healthy. Some people eat it. And, they could have rolled this into the whole Maha thing. RFK could have started eating algae out of the pool.
Oh, I hear you. Like
to do stuff like that.
Like the greening of public spaces, growing algae, producing more oxygen, ivy on the walls, living spaces.
Correct.
You're not wrong. I mean, they've just done this wrong, but they could have totally done. They could have been growing ivy up the Washington Monument.
Yeah. Yeah.
How wonderful. The reflecting pool. I liked how you called it the reflecting pond. That's the Canadian version of the reflecting pool drink.
Sorry.
No, I think you're very accurate with your description.
Wasn't there something about draining the pond or getting the swamp?
The swamp. That's what. That's the irony here is that he was sent to Washington to literally to metaphorically drain the swamp, and he literally creates a swamp right in the middle of Washington. Hey, to be fair, I don't know. I know too much about the reflecting pool at this point. I don't know if you guys have it in your YouTube feeds, but it's like a fire hose of information about the history of the reflecting pool, the problems with maintaining it, all the problems. Algae, apparently, if you didn't know this, is its nemesis. It has dealt with algae since it was first built. It was this wonderful idea, and then immediately had this algae problem, and every president has played a role. And it's actually very, very presidential that Trump would have taken on trying to fix the reflecting pool, because many presidents have tried to fix the problem.
Yes.
And so we really, I mean, it's because of the moment that we live in that we give him so much grief about this, but it's actually shouldn't be. There are historians that are not surprised that this would be taken on as it's a symbol. It's not that expensive, and it looks good for a small period of time. In this case, it was supposed to look good for the 4th of July celebration. Unfortunately, it was done in a Trump way, and so now they probably won't have a celebration anywhere near the swamp. That's the biggest fumble here, is he did it in his typical way. If he had done it in the typical presidential way, it would have looked beautiful for at least 6 months, maybe a year.
Well, and that brings up a fascinating question that I haven't heard any journalist ask, which is, he hired these Goombas who'd done,
swimming pools, yeah,
some crap for him on stuff. So had they ever done what was the largest project they did
Right.
before this project? Because, I mean, okay, swimming pool, I don't know, an Olympic pool is 150, that's 50 meters, is it?
Wait, does it even matter? His suggestion was, and we're getting far away from computer. I'm going to bring it back to tech. He decided to use the pool coating, the blue pool coating. He was just like, oh, it'll be beautiful. It'll be like all our swimming pools, right? But that's going to be beautiful until the next time it needs to be maintained at its maximum. Like, how often do you recoat a pool that's outside in a hotel? It happens much more frequently than you would expect a coating to be needed on this thing. And immediately it's just lifting up. It's done in such a... What does it matter? They wanted it to last long enough for 4th of July. They didn't... Nothing about it was approached for longevity. Where they've gotten slapped in the faces, it didn't even make it to the 4th of July. Just does. Of course, it's Goombas that's what he's done for everything. He's done. Yeah. It's his signature move. It's like putting Kirkland on something. He puts BS on everything. Trump signature steaks. Yeah, those are popular. Trump University, that was popular. This just, oh my gosh. No, we're too far away from tech.
What about Trump Bible?
Yeah. No, we're too far away from tech. Let's reel it back in. This could turn into a ranting club very quickly. Let's rant about technology. What's that, Jim?
I have a question.
Please.
And it really has to do with the use of AI. I would be interested in knowing how other people are using AI today to impact their personal lives. Obviously we can use it like a big search engine, ask a question, get an answer. But I'd like to know if anybody has been able to go beyond that. And if so, how and what are they accomplishing?
Yeah.
If you were a microbiologist and if you were studying protein folding, whatever the hell that means, you can Google it and figure it out. You would say that AI was the best thing since sliced bread. And the very best people in the protein folding microbiology business, for some reason, it's extremely well suited for that corner of science. So that's a nice thing.
Well, and to that respect, these narrow, siloed areas of research and development, it's been very effective. So you can take that same, and like you're talking about protein folding, but my own personal experience, and this isn't consumer experience, it's developer experience, using programming languages and building programs. It's been very effective and has made it possible to leaps and bounds. The things like and this is where it affects consumers, is where it's always affected consumers before AI entered the lexicon. It's in things like photo touch-up. It's things like pattern matching with facial recognition. Of that nature that has been over and over proven to be very effective. But it's nothing related to the hype that has generated this whole bubble of AI. As far as working with an AI, it feels like we're always talking about use cases that are 80% of the way there. Like good enough to marvel you, but not good enough that you would actually invest any money in them or buy them or expect those experiences be fully flushed out. It's kind of It's kind of like the full self-driving that's always promised on your car. It's like, yeah, it's doing some amazing stuff, but we're still not driving the car. It's still not happening. I want to give time to Richard if he has a comment on this, because I know he's passionate about this topic. Did you want to add something to those comments? Richard, are you still with us?
I think when AI is funded at about 10% of its present funding, that it'll be a nice thing, and over time we'll see some uses. I mean, again, if I was in the protein folding business, I'd be walking on water.
Well, and don't forget, we all use spell checking and grammar checking. All that is happening. That is exactly the same kind of technology. Been very useful. I mean, these things, yeah, they represent where you can take this type of technology and make it somewhat bulletproof. Yeah,
But you need to drain out about 90% of the money that's going into it. And everybody takes a deep breath. And, you know, over the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you know, these things will find their uses.
Well, and you
But
need
the idea that these are trillion-dollar companies is, and people are buying into them at those valuations, that's just flat out nuts.
But
Because they aren't.
Yeah, I know most of your grievances with this whole AI bubble is that side of it. It is where none of these numbers make any sense.
All of them. I don't care if people want to experiment and evolve this particular type of software. I don't have a problem with any of that.
But it's this facade of return on investment that they're driving this fictitious market with, this circular investments that are going on. This is where the grievance comes from. This is where the stability is going to be lost because they can't continue to do what they're doing. And they've really made it clear that the stock market is just a whimsy. It has nothing to do with real evaluation. It all has to do with vibes. Anything you're investing in right now has to do with a good feeling all those people have in that stock, and has nothing to do with what it actually has to produce. And, you know, as far as products, many of these don't have a product that's actually producing any kind of return on investment. So how can it be worth trillions of dollars?
Plus, it's absorbing all of the available capital that could be used or will be used for other viable technologies, and it's going to create a what they call a bubble that is eventually going to collapse.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And it's created a product bubble too, like we've been talking about with the Apple prices. I mean, we have had this relatively decent balance of industry versus consumer technology. And now we're turning into this thing where only those that have can get, where those that have more resources are the only ones that have access to that. And there's this scramble to try and balance that out again. But even I mentioned the chip producer, the Chinese chip producer, they've just been granted emergency relief so that they've never been allowed to work with Apple or any of now they're being allowed to work with Apple because they need the chips to be able to create the products that America is demanding. And what's frustrating is when they start working with this organization, these prices are going to stay the same because this is the plan for it not to get worse. This is not the plan to alleviate this expense. This is the plan so that they don't have to raise the prices more. And any of these fabrications that they're putting together, new fabricators, they predict that won't enter the market. It won't be part of the equation for up to 3 years from.
I'd like to extend my personal condolences to Ms. Howell that her cute little new computer just went up $100 and you know, you should have moved when I told you, little girl.
We
I'm
all should have
sorry.
moved. I'm
I
hitting my
told
head on
you.
the wall right now going, why didn't I buy it? Why didn't I buy it?
I was looking at the price of a friggin' iPad the other day, and I thought, whoa. And then in the first meeting, we talked about all those price increases. But yeah, I don't think a new computer's in the works for me for a while. I'm very busy booking flights and trips and activities, and we're going to the Sphere in Las Vegas with our grandchildren to see
my
Wizard of
gosh.
Oz.
That's at
So,
least 2 iPads.
Wow.
How old are the grandchildren?
13 and 16.
Okay, fabulous.
Are you going to the
Yeah,
Wizard of Oz? Is that the plan?
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz, and we're also going to take them to Cirque du Soleil Ka, and then we're going to go see the Mac King magic show. So, yeah.
I wanted to do they're doing a Metallica. And it was something ridiculous like $500.
I saw Eagles. Yeah, well, these ones, yeah, it was $100 each for the Sphere for Wizard of Oz, but yeah.
Well, and what
Call was
Metallica was doing is they were trying to do it as 2 different events. You had to pay for 2 different events at the same time, whether you attended them or not, but 2 different days.
Oh, it's like a festival or something. Yeah. Well, I saw the Eagles were in there and everything, and I'm really, really hoping that I'm not going to have an episode of Vertigo. So I'm just
Hey,
kind of reviewing it.
Before we get too far away, I did want to mention along this theme, Microsoft doesn't think you're buying new computers either, because they have just upped their security updates for Windows 10 for another year. And I'm really surprised at how low-key this news is. But this really means that there is a slew of slated for landfill computers that can be turned right on and be kept completely up to date. No reason to go buy another computer. No reason to move to Linux. This is a big deal, and I find it very quiet. Nobody's talking too much about this. They're also saying, podcasters are saying that all you have to do is sign in with a Microsoft account and you get this update. So, just to recap, Windows 10 support was slated to be gone from Microsoft last October, and they rushed to put out another year of. It's all marketing. We're gonna support your operating system for 1 more year, but you have to sign into a Microsoft account. You have to have points, or you're going to pay $30, or your corporation's going to buy it for you. That was how you would get the last year, and we're coming up to October 2026 when that was supposed to end. And now, I feel quietly, they have announced we're going to do it again for another year. So your Windows 10 installation is still good for another year, as long as you're allowing them to track you. And you should probably think of this as, another year where I can prepare to run Linux. I don't actually have to run Linux.
Well, I agree with you 100%, Scott, about how quiet it was. Now, to hang with that thought for a minute, let's say they announced it quietly. There was also a very quiet reaction in the tech press. I read everybody covered it because, it's news. But, no big comment, no what does it mean articles.
Considering Windows 11 is it's the operating system that tracks you the most ever. It is significant that there's a huge number of people that have not upgraded to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a large portion of people that have refused to go to it as we've learned more and more about it. And so many people at this point that they're like, okay, we're going to give you another year because they don't want to lose that market. They don't want them going to Linux. Now with this memory CPU shortage, there's actually rumors coming out of Redmond that they have put plans for Windows 12 on hold because they don't know what to expect from the hardware market. They don't know what they're building the operating system for anymore. You know, before they were.
And I think that they've lost internal vision too. That I don't think, you know, they jammed all the AI in now. I think they're thinking, well, are these AI providers going to be around? Are the integration, you know, what are we doing?
Well, what is it that they're selling? I think is what you're saying is they have lost track of what it is they're trying to sell.
Precisely.
Yeah, and so they're stepping back away. It doesn't make sense to integrate onboard AI for hardware that's not going to exist when they release the operating. And that's
it also, I think, is beginning to dawn on people that it doesn't make sense to put in integrated AI unless you can say to the consumer, here's this thing that you can do now that you have integrated on AI and you really want to do it.
Right.
You know, that's something that's appealing.
Like a while back, they had those Plus Copilot PCs, that certification. And what it was really telling people was the hardware in this computer is going to be able to run onboard AI features. And the problem is they didn't have any onboard AI features that anybody wanted. So why would they want the computer?
Precisely.
Why would they? And they're still in that boat. And now if they brand this is last week I was talking about how I think it's very intentional that Apple has branded Siri with AI, because Siri has such a horrible reputation as being useless that by combining it with AI, you can't hurt it. You can only make it better.
They had nothing to lose.
They can't hurt that brand, and it's everywhere.
Right.
Microsoft doesn't even have that. Their personal assistant brand Cortana, I don't even know if you guys remember it anymore. It was built right into Windows 10. Took such a devastating downward spiral that it's like a bad word to say now. But Siri's in everything. And if you can make, and that's the thing Apple knows, is that people that use Apple products sit around going, if they could just make Siri better. And that's what this was all about, is this intention of giving more intelligence to Siri. And that intelligence is possible because they've been making their own chips now since 2020. And the last 3 iterations include the kind of power that they expect that will allow AI to be on board for some of these. And they have features. Apple has features, and Microsoft doesn't have features they're trying to show. And they can't control whether those features work well or not because they don't control the hardware. So it makes sense.
You know that I think that all this stuff is really obnoxious, hooey, but there's no question that Apple has slow walked it in a very intelligent way, and they're going to bring in, I think, features to Siri that actually work. Now, they may be very far from the way AI has been sold to the general public in terms of they may be some really simple stuff, but it will actually work.
I would take that thought a step farther. I predict that nothing changes with Apple. That Apple keeps going down the exact same route with the exact same iteration of hardware, the exact same iteration of software, promising the exact same limited number of features getting better and better. And all that is really going to change is their pricing structure. And I bet their pricing structure will make no reasonable sense. That they will spread out, because they operate at such high margins. They will spread out, just like that computer that got a $1,200 bump. They will spread out that pricing across their whole line so that nothing has to change in their plans of iteration. That they can predict the number of consumers that will continue to buy their products, each one of those lines, regardless of the price change, so that the overall goal will continue to maintain the same.
There's another aspect of that, though, and when you're speaking of Apple, is that without a new major different type of product, they're going to have a hard time maintaining their capitalization. And in other words, they came up with the phone, they came up with the watch. What else can they come up with that's going to maintain their reputation?
Well, and yeah, Chester, you mentioned the watch. I don't think the watch is actually the best example of their, but cloud services was the next one. It was, they came up with the phone, and they came up with cloud services to such an extent, that ecosystem.
I would like to respond in a slightly different way to what Chester said, which I think is very intelligent. But another way to look at that, Chester, is that this is really the central problem for the entire tech industry. It's not at all exclusive to Apple. That AI is being sold as the next big idea. And what that very profane man, Ed Zitron, that you won't read, which is okay, one of his central ideas is, you know what? There isn't another big idea. Not right now. Not at the scale of what we, consider big ideas, like having smartphone.
Right, or the personal computer.
One of Zitron's arguments for this about the falsity, the fallacy of AI valuation is, he said, when you handed somebody an iPhone, very first iPhone, first time they saw a smartphone, and it had a screen and they could go to a website and stuff, you didn't have to explain a damn thing to them about the value of that. Everybody saw it and went, whoa, that's cool, and maybe you could afford it back then, maybe you couldn't. So then you wanted it.
Well, to expand more on that thought, Richard, like what Apple is doing, I think what you just said totally justifies my perception of where we're going to go. I don't think Apple's going to change anything about their route, because they want to minimize what people consider AI, and they want to maximize features that they can bring. And they don't want to market it as AI feature. They want to market it as Apple feature. You can find these.
And I think there was a better fundamental understanding within Apple, and I don't know if it's Cook or how.
Well, this new leader is all hardware.
Whoever played into the decision, I think there was a better understanding at Apple that this AI thing was not the next big idea. Therefore, their investment in it they're going to be players, which at their level is going to mean billions and tens of billions of dollars in investment here and there. But they were not betting the farm on this thing. And they're going to come out the least damaged.
Well, anyone that has large bundles of capital is going to come out least damaged. And they are the biggest company, so I would expect them to be damaged. But what's amazing is the effect all of this is having in our world. I mean, like I started out talking about, the Nothing phone is not putting out a new version. That there's a whole slew of $100 phones that are just out of the market now because of this supply and demand. And as a society, we have to really start asking ourselves questions about that. What is better for us? Having all this technology tied up is investments in data centers, or somebody that needs $100 phone be able to afford $100 phone. I had.
Are we going to go back to the idea that having a personal computer in your home is a $5,000 project?
Or a product, yeah. To that extent, I actually had a guest. I've had one guest show up that is not a smartphone user, does not carry a smartphone, made a choice that
Cool.
they've got too much. It's too much nonsense. It takes too much time. It's distraction. And I really felt sorry for her because everything she tried to do while she was here needed a smartphone. Get a ride, find a map, to figure out reservations. To every time she was turning around, she was being thwarted by the fact she didn't have a smartphone with her. And I was talking with her about it because, I mean, I'm curious how people are dealing with the time period, this. And as we were talking, she came to the conclusion, I think I need to buy a smartphone just for travel. And I agreed with her. Like some burner phone, some $100 phone that you just stick in the closet and you pull out when you're going to be traveling. If you're going to be somebody that's disconnected but doing because traveling requires a smartphone. That's where we're at. That's people. If you're going to move around, you need a smartphone. That's what we've done. We've created this society where you need a smartphone in your pocket. You can argue the ways to get out of it, but this poor woman was 20 minutes on a 2-minute item, whatever it might be, looking something up on a map, getting help, right, getting reservation, whatever it might be.
And, I still say God bless her, man. And you see, I'm not a doctrinaire about this, that, never, like, it's like if you touched a smartphone that you've committed a sin or something. But I think somebody making a choice like that and just saying, I'm not going to have this bullshit in my day-to-day life when I'm in my house or sorry for the language, or an apartment, my apartment, and I'm going to work, and I'm not going. I can still sit at a computer and get my email when I get to work, or on my computer at home. But no, I'm not going to drag around on the subway with this thing rattling in my pocket.
I say ditto to that.
Well, I can appreciate that, and
No, I want to hear Mr. Stone.
But
Mr. Stone, let me just hear this.
Say again.
You were going to say something, Mr. Stone.
I said ditto to what you said.
He's just agreeing with what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Which, to be fair, I think that's an easier opinion to have when you're not traveling. When you can turn around to a computer in the corner of the house.
I say absolutely.
Yeah.
I say absolutely. Go dumb phone and have a burner phone for all your damn trips, man. Take it, use it. Again, it's not a sin. But the question is it at the center of your life or not?
Right.
It seems to me.
No, that's the question. That's the existential question that we should all be asking ourselves. Are we functioning with this device at the center?
I'm not judging anybody.
Right.
If somebody says, I absolutely want it to be the center of my life. I want to have earbuds in all the time. I want to have a Neuralink. I can't wait for my Neuralink. I think that's perfectly fine. That's their right to do that. But understand you've done that.
Yeah, again, this is the question. Cheryl, what are you trying to...
That's just life. No. That's the life you chose. Okay? Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Richard.
Yes,
Type 1 diabetic. I can get technology reading my blood sugar 24/7. I have to have a device. It can be just a monitor or it can be my phone, but I have to have something right there to get that feedback for my healthcare.
I totally hear you. And that's wonderful that it exists, that the technology exists, and you should have it, and you should have a spare.
and I choose to use it because it has proven to be more beneficial for healthcare.
Yeah.
So, I think that there's sometimes when we think that people choose to have their cell phone around them, it might be for work, it might be for leisure, it might be for entertainment, but it might be healthcare.
Ms. Howell, I absolutely love you, and I absolutely believe that in at least 90% of humans walking the planet, no such exigency exists. I understand when it exists, and again, wonderful. But sorry, girl, no, that's not. For 90% of us, it's absolutely a choice.
Well, and actually, Cheryl, I think that these ideas are existing on a spectrum. Like I do not want to put travel more important than diabetes. It's not what I'm saying. But we have designed a general system for everybody that you are not part of if you don't bring a cell phone with you. That's how travel is right now. We have, as a society, we have designed it so that.
Excellent observation, and you're correct.
And whereas with diabetes, you are always looking for the next thing to make things easier for you that you can afford. And so you are making those choices. There are other options in that area. I don't see travel as having a lot of, especially when I watch somebody like this guest trying to get around Anchorage without a phone. Obviously, she does not have a lot of options. I mean, she's literally at the option of asking to borrow somebody's phone so that she can do something. That's
that's true at the airport and everything. Checking in online, showing your code as opposed to actually having a printed boarding pass. All of these things. Yeah, the airports are extremely high, and they provide Wi-Fi in their building and things like that. So they make it easy to use it.
What would be really disenchanting, disheartening would be if the entire medical diabetes industry decided the cell phone is the only way that you're going to get your metrics, and they pull all the other devices out of the market, as well as as cumbersome as it is, you've been testing yourself for many years without any of this technology. With blood tests, so maybe that's all that's left is you have to be tracked on a cell phone, or you have to do your own blood testing.
Well, and that's another
or you carry
facet.
another device. You carry another monitor.
Well, what I'm saying is, if the cell phone was so readily adapted to diabetes that it killed that market, that the only device available to you was the cell phone, then we start getting close to that analogy with travel, because we've killed everything else, and we've killed all the maps, we've killed all the customer service, we've killed none of that exists anymore. If you don't have the cell phone, you have the amount of effort that you're putting into those activities during travel is 20 times what the person with the cell phone is dealing. And the person with the cell phone is still not happy. Like you guys know, you're all travelers. You're having to do it with the cell phone. There's nothing pleasant about it. It's just the way we've decided to do it. Sorry, I'm starting to rant now.
Well, and what I was saying, another thought is that this is also similar. I mean, it's not unrelated to where you have government entities where the only conduit of communication with the government entity is online. Their only public pronouncements are on their Facebook page. So now we've moved off into a private company.
Yeah, actually, if you bring that concept back just a hair, because a private company is a whole discussion in itself. But there is an argument for government subsidized smartphones just because they've put so many of what you need for your society online, that you are hindering their access to that without having a cell phone. So maybe the government should be subsidizing the cell phone for them.
I think I can easily, I've never heard that argument, but I can easily imagine it.
I've got one more article I brought with me. Has little to do with this discussion, except for the fact that memory is in short supply. Processors are in short supply, and that's going to affect the entire industry. This is a quick article on how I fixed my laggy Fire TV. If you got a Fire TV stick and your slow performance is driving you crazy, you don't have to let it drive you out to buy another one. What Amazon has done with the latest software has had instant audio, instant video start playing. And with these instructions, you can turn it off. And lo and behold, the Fire Stick is pleasant to use again. This is
cool.
The lagging I'm talking about is when you're hitting the button to move between applications or to select things. You're like, why is this taking so long? This researcher found that a majority of the memory is being used up by your Fire TV device just to store these videos and audios so that it's ready to go. But a lot of us aren't using them for anything.
Okay, so I was going to blame my Shaw cable for this, but we have a Fire TV, and when I change it from cable to, to stereo or inputs or whatever, yeah, there's a lag and
a lag you never had before the updates.
Okay, so how do I fix this?
Yeah, so if you go into this article, I fixed my laggy Fire TV with one setting Amazon never explained to me. This is from How to Geek, and it talks you through going into settings. I've already done this myself. It's very simple. I'm looking for it right now. You go into preferences, you go into settings, you go into preferences, and you look for a submenu called featured, past tense featured content. And you'll find two settings that are toggles. Allow video, audio, autoplay. Allow audio, autoplay. Turn both of those off. It will stop preloading that stuff. The device with those turned on is preloading what is essentially advertisements. They're video and audio content, but they're basically advertisements. They're preloading it into memory so that when you traverse across the Fire TV menu, it's ready to shout and play video at you. There is absolutely, that's an aesthetic thing. Absolutely no reason that it has to do that. And if you're suffering from a laggy user experience, then turn it off. Because the problem is it's just sucking up all the memory out of the device.
Awesome.
Well, we have cleared my plate of topics I have brought today, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this meeting. We've got 15-minute warning, which would actually mean that this turned into a 2-hour meeting if we end up waiting that next 15 minutes. It really does indicate that we are at the end of this meeting, though. I will allow some, if there's any recommendations out there. If I could start, I never got to do my recommendation last week of Spider Noir. I don't know. Did I talk to you guys about that? If I can't remember.
It's on my list to ask.
What's that?
My list to ask. It's on my list to ask. Has anybody seen the ad? And are you going to watch it?
Yes, we have already watched the first 2 episodes of it. It's an excellent example of Nicolas Cage, and it's a really interesting version of Spider-Man. And they do it in a way that you don't have to deal with an origin story or any. In fact, the origin story is wrapped into the mystery of who this guy is, and so it just kind of dumps you in the middle of an adventure. It is a noir detective style story, and we've been watching it in black and white, and it's awesome. We're really enjoying it.
Okay, because Bill and I looked at it, and the first thing that happened was we saw this ad, and we're both going, who is that? who is that guy? Who is that Spider-Man? Who is that? And we finally figured it out by looking it up that it was Nicolas Cage. But anyways, it looks rather interesting.
Well, and
The
it's got an interesting backstory because the character emerged out of an avant-garde version of a Marvel comic published in France back like in 2008, 2006 to 2008. I think it was finally published in 2008. I looked it up because I wanted to understand where this character came from. And so it was just kind of like a what if character. What if this was Peter Parker? What if he lived in this universe and he was this guy in the 1930s? Then the character was reimagined for Into the Spider-Verse, the Sony animation movie that came out, I think it was in 2018. And this is the only superhero movie that Sony has made that won awards. That's its biggest claim to fame. This cartoon that Sony made of Spider-Man and the multiverse is the only Spider-Man movie they've made, but it's the only superhero movie they've made that won awards. It was an excellent movie. It's an animation, so there's a lot of people that it would turn off. They didn't even bother to pay attention to it. And this character was featured in that movie, and so we got to know this character a lot more from that. This series, however, deviates from those origins and creates a completely different person that's not Peter Parker. And it's a different origin story than what was given in what's assumed of the Spider-Verse and of this French publication. I'm sorry, Richard, were you going to say something else, sir?
No, that was me. I was going to say Nicolas Cage turns me off.
Oh, yeah? He's in the middle of what do you call it? He's really in a kind of a comeback mode right now, with, as the young people would put it. He's the reason that you can watch this in black and white or color. He petitioned the producers when he was asked to play the role that they had to release a color version. Isn't that interesting to have an actor that's been in Hollywood for so long, and what he's fighting for is the color release. He's like, no young people are going to be attracted to a black and white movie. They have no previous experience with black and white. You have to give them the option. And so that's the reason it's not completely, I mean, that's the reason it's done in black and white, and then they've also done a color print of it.
Huh, I didn't realize that was an option and that it was there.
I saw a totally un-Hollywood thing, and how I got to it is just stumbling and misidentifying a particular actress. But anyway, the film is called Tony Erdmann, TONIERDMANN.
How'd you spell the last one? ER.
ERDMANN. Erdmann. It's a German film. About half of it's in German, so subtitles, you're gonna have to do a little bit of reading, and the other half's in English.
Get help as to what you should shop for tomorrow.
Yeah,
and it's 2 hours and 42 minutes of kind of late 60s guy visiting his about 35-year-old daughter, who's a business lady doing business in Bucharest, Romania. There are no guns. There's no violence, no profanity.
That's not Spider Noir.
It's
have I found it here? I've got it on my screen. Is this what you're talking about? 2016 movie?
Correct. Exactly correct, Mr. Stimson. Tony Erdmann.
Tony Erd. Okay. Oh, it's on Netflix. Oh, it's not on Netflix. Not in this country. Well, excellent. You know, I can't remember if I mentioned it last week as well, but I also had a movie recommendation, Hokum. I don't know if Hokum is a horror film, but it's more of a mystery ghost movie than it is a gory horror film. I mean, horror, the genre of horror can span across the whole spectrum of different things. And so when you say horror, it can turn people off. But this was much more of a psychological, spooky mystery with some real jump scares in it. And what I found really most intriguing about it is the main character is Adam Scott, plays the main character. And if you're familiar with him, you normally think of him as being in funny movies, comedian mostly. He's one of the guys from Parks and Rec, but just done dozens of different things. Probably the most recent thing that you would know him from is the Apple series that has evaded my name. What is the name of it? Damn it. It is so popular. It's a dry comedy mystery as well. For the life of me. Yeah. Welcome to my world. Severance. Severance is what I'm trying. He's the main actor in the Apple TV Severance. And this is more kind of an extension of that kind of character. He's dry, not funny. He's in a mystery. He's annoyed. He's angry. And it's just interesting to see him play such a different character than his comedy character. He plays a writer that's troubled. Go ahead, Cheryl.
I have to dash, but I'm just going to tell you a totally opposite, fun little hour and 40 minutes. The Sheep Detectives. Hilarious little movie. The sheep are animated, but it's live action and fun little story.
I've heard it's really good. We haven't had a chance to see it yet, but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a fun night, or a fun evening, whatever. And the other one I found was a 2022 movie. It's called The Good House.
The Good House.
Is a real estate agent trying to deal with life, and it was entertaining.
Okay. Looks like people are funneling out of here. I think we're calling it to an end. We only have another minute. We have 6 minutes till this is going to end itself.
I'll hang up in 1 second, but you missed my movie rec, Tony Erdmann.
I saw it, and I just looked it up. Tony Erdmann, I found it. I'd have to pay for it, but I'll find it on Streamio as well. It looks interesting.
It's a really cool story. I'd say the guy who goes to visit his daughter is probably in his late 60s. It's kind of hard to tell. It doesn't come up in the dialogue. It's just a really sweet. It's so real.
Yeah, practical joking father tries to reconnect with his hardworking daughter. I added it to my watch list, and I'll check it out.
No guns, no violence, nobody dismembered. I promise.
Well, you should watch The Sheep Detective too. Somebody is murdered, but it's cool.
They have to have a mystery. They have to have a mystery to solve.
Exactly. I understand. Okay.
All right, guys. We're calling it to an end. You guys tech on until next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, there we are. We did it again. That was our meeting for June 30th, 2026. Scott Stimson. Enjoyed this? Check out our website, scclub.org. It's pretty big. We meet every Tuesday at 10 Mountain Central Time. We do not recognize daylight savings because most of us have an affiliation with that time zone, either Arizona or Sonora. Don't recognize. Always the same. 10 o'clock UTC 7. You are welcome to join us. Also, if you're out there looking for computer help, I do remote IT troubleshooting. Get a hold of me, Scott at International. Check out our website, Internet. Till next Tuesday, tech on.